this is Animat, and welcome back to the Muppet Vlog. Now this time we're going to be looking into the 23rd episode of The Muppet Show, which features the one and only Kaye Ballard. Now for those of you who are unfamiliar with Kaye Ballard, she is actually a singer as much as she is a star on stage and on screen. She has appeared in many feature films, but she is more prominent on Broadway when she has appeared on shows including Carnival, Gypsy, Pippin, Funny Girl, and Chicago. Now, unfortunately, there really isn't much info about her. Like, even on the Wikipedia page, there really isn't much information told about her. It's mostly a little bit of her biography and then just a list of her like filmography and stageography. Is that how you say it? Stageography? I don't know. Well, like you get what I mean. It's just that somehow like she isn't as prominent like on the internet and on Wikipedia as much as the other ones. Like when last time I checked up on Ethel Merman, like that was a lot of info put into there. But keep in mind, Ethel Merman is one of the biggest names on Broadway. But anyways, not to get too much sidetracked or stuff like that, let's go back into the episode of The Muppet Show where she appeared in, and I gotta say, it really was fascinating to check out. This is one of the very few episodes where the main aspect that's going on is actually the backstory. Never has it really been so prominent than before. Like, up to the point where that's the most interesting factor of all this. Like, not even the special guests could be able to really outshine what's going on backstage. And what apparently has been going on is that most of the members of the Electric Mayhem, who are also in the orchestra, they were actually threatening to quit the Muppet Show mostly because they don't like the theme song. And mostly throughout the episode, it's mostly Kermit and Floyd trying to negotiate what they can do so that the orchestra stays and that they don't have to leave, and that, you know, they don't have an orchestra anymore. So that's mostly the whole situation, and the reason why that the crew at the orchestra, they don't like the theme song. Apparently, keep in mind though, this is the late 70s. They say that the theme song is just too square and that it's not hip enough for them. Yeah, that's basically the whole 70s for you. I mean, like, that's during the time when terminologies like square and hip and cool cat and stuff like that, like, they seem to still apply during that time. But yeah, like, it really was such a fascinating episode, and never have we ever seen something that it really focuses on the core aspect of the whole show itself. Like, they would really discuss about the theme song and if there's any changes, if people like it, if people don't. Honestly, like, as someone who has grown up with the Muppets, like, it's kind of attached to my brain to the point, like every time I hear the Muppet Show theme song, it brings me joy. It's a lot of fun. I mean, because I'm doing the Muppet vlogs, I get to hear it like twice a week and stuff like that. So, like, I honestly don't mind it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's all right. Well, but anyways, that's just me. I'm not Floyd Pepper, but yeah, it's actually quite fascinating though that like an episode of a TV show would actually discuss about something that is very essential to like what any other TV show is. It's like, never have I seen that they would actually discuss and talk, like, make the theme song a core factor and like an initial plot point to the entire story. And, you know, it really does make it fascinating. And, you know, you do get to see how everything does feel like it's set up as a show where, like, yeah, they have to do this every week. They have to perform the theme song, like, each week. They gotta keep doing this. And now it's up to the point that some of the band members pretty much have to, you know, they finally snap and they decided they had enough. It's kind of fascinating, really. It's a pretty cool aspect that they decided to do with it. It's really, really cool. And I will have to say, like, right at the end, they actually did something that is really clever, and, you know, it's kind of funny at the same time where, okay, well, unfortunately, I have to put up spoiler alerts here, but ultimately, they did, like, just for that episode, they did decide to quit, and what they did for the closing number is that it's only performed by Rolf, who is pretty much the only one in the orchestra that didn't complain. So he's just, like, at the end, you only get a piano riff of the ending theme of the Muppet Show, which honestly is kind of funny and really clever. So I have to admit that the entire episode on that aspect is actually well written. Now, going into the other aspects, like some of the musical numbers and the themes, well, okay, not the themes, but I mean like, well, yeah, like I said, the musical numbers and all the other bits that happen, you know, they're honestly standard. They're all right. They're not the best, but they're pretty good. Starting off with Kaye Ballard as the special guest star, they really didn't use her much. Like, she was barely apparent, and she had a little connection with what's going on. In fact, she only appeared 3 times. She only appeared once in the opening act with What Would You Say, where she's pretty much dancing with Thog, which is a nice number. She's a great singer, you know, she dances well, and, you know, it's cute seeing Kaye Ballard and Thog dancing together. But the one complaint that I do have with it is that, what the fridge is with that dress? It's probably one of the very few moments in my life that I look at it and I have to ask, what the fridge are you wearing? Like, she's mostly dancing around, and she has this weird dress that's literally made of nothing but like poofy pink skirts. That's all it is. It's just layer upon layer upon layer of pink poofy skirts. And I know, guys, I know for a fact that I'm probably the last person ever to critique about someone's fashion because, well, have you seen my videos? Do you see how I dressed up as? But yeah, like, it's just, I don't know, that dress is just really, really weird. And then there was one part where, like, she was in the middle and she talks to Kermit, and like, this is the part where she does have a connection with the story, where she wants to, like, try to talk with Animal about, like, well, like, trying to convince him not to quit, and maybe she can find a way to amend the orchestra to play the theme song week after week. And other than that, like, that's the only connection that she does have with the story. Other than that, she's kind of a device that the orchestra has to stay in the show. Like, originally Floyd Pepper just immediately wants to quit, but Kermit does try to convince them, like, they have to at least stay for the numbers with Kaye Ballard, and that's it. And then the final one is the One Note Samba. That's pretty much the closing number with Kaye Ballard, and, you know, it's actually a pretty good number. Like, she actually does have a bit of a feud with Miss Piggy. It's a lot of fun, and in a way, it's actually, you know, it's pretty interesting. And, you know, it's always a good number when you see Miss Piggy always dueling it out with the special guest to have, like, you know, the prominent center stage and be the star of that number. It's always a lot of fun to see. It's just like, it's just like previously in the Ethel Merman bit, where Miss Piggy and Ethel Merman have that little moment where they sing, what was it? Like, anything you could do, I could do better. I could do anything better than you. You know, that number. Maybe that's what it's called, but I have no idea. But yeah, other than that, as for the other stuff, like, they're all right. You know, there are actually a lot more sketches. They're not all musical numbers. There are some, like, there's the barbershop that, you know, it's kind of cute, but it just has that one little punchline that it doesn't seem strong enough to be, like, as an effective sketch in itself to require that punchline. It's not that much. And then there's also the Vendaface actually comes back, and honestly, that's probably the most creative sketch that they have in this entire episode, because what the Vendaface just did is that it just says that it's a facelift. So what it does, it brings in an ugly Muppet, and they would just replace all the little aspects on the faces. They take off the ears, the eyes, the nose, and they would just replace everything. That one is a lot of fun. That one is cute, and I do recommend you check that one out. And then there are also other sketches in the summertime. That one is, like, you know, it's pretty good. It's, you know, it's your nice standard opener with the Jim Henson, Richard Hunt, and Frank Oz Muppets pretty much singing "You Don't Want My Love." Yeah, by the way, that's how I think it was the Jim Henson puppet who says it. It's like, it doesn't say "You Don't Want My Love." You have to say it while also squinting as well. It's like, "You don't want my love." Other than that, oh yeah, and then finally there is another one that's called Life, which is kind of it's just a sad poem where you see the grandpa hillbilly pretty much just pondering about life. It's pretty, like, in a whole, it's a little poem saying that life sucks for him, and that, you know, he's just like, screw it, this is my life, it sucks, but I'm living it. And that's, you know, that's simply what it is. Like, it does have its own charm, it does sound pretty sad, but, you know, like, somehow they, like, the Muppets did manage to make it seem, not, I wouldn't say pleasant, but enjoyable to watch. That's what it is. It has its own charm. But overall, I would say that the entire episode, it is interesting with the backstory. Like, that one is what really made this episode really interesting to watch. Like, that one is actually very interesting, and it's really clever how they took an element like the theme song and make it the main plot point of the story. That part is actually interesting, but other than that, it's mostly pretty standard. The special guest star is pretty standard, yet is not really prominent in the entire episode. The musical numbers are alright, so overall, it's decent, but it's mostly the backstory that really does make this episode effective. But anyways, that's pretty much going to be it, so let us see what's going to be happening in the next episode, and maybe some more fascinating things will happen other than just the backstory. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes!